Dating as a celebrity.
I got hit by an ad on my own stream, guys. It's painful. My ears hurt. Ow. Hey, that hurt my ears. And I feel like it might have hurt yours too. Now I feel like I can't hear anything. And OBS is going haywire. You know how painful this is? Here I am, trying to do a nice stream, and then this happens. Wow. But hey, how are ya? Hey. Hey. How are you? My ears are... Ow. You know, the second that happened, I ripped my earphones out. And then the screen switched and I was like, oh shit, my earphones hit the switch green button. Ow. Well, anyway, I was ready anyway, so this is fine. It startled me too! It startled me too! I was just like, what the fuck? But hey, it is what it is. I'm here now, so this is fine. Did you guys notice I did a thing? Did you notice I did a thing? Did you notice I did a thing? Did you know I did a thing? I don't know if you know if I did the thing. So the Discord, in the Discord, we well, not we, I I made a thing where you can, apparently you can what's the word, make an event for streams and stuff. So you get notified through Discord that I'm live if I make an event for it, and then it gives you a link too in case you don't want to get notified by pings. But like, I made it an event thing, so you have no choice but to know. Yeah, it's a Discord. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I did the thing. But yes, there is a new server. So if you haven't joined the new server, I just changed the description with the link in it. So just in case, refresh the stream and then join the Discord if you haven't, because I'm really worried, because like me and Starlight did it yesterday with the whole link thingy, and I don't know why, but sometimes I did the thing and I saved it and it wouldn't work. It was still the old link. So yeah, do the thingy. Do go join that Discord because it's new and I think it looks really pretty. Hi, Pasta! Hello! Hello. Wait, let me mod Pasta. Add a standard moderator. There we go. Hi, Pasta! Hello. Hello. Don't mind me modding you. I mod all my friends. It is what it is. Yeah. So, what? Before I big brain, I don't want a big brain yet. It kind of hurts. Before I big brain, what'd you guys do today, huh? What'd you do today? What'd you do? Did you do anything fun? Did you do anything exciting? I studied all day, like all day. It's been the entire fucking day of just, what the heck is the nervous system? Does this drawing look okay? How do I explain what a reflex arc is to people who have never studied it? Like, I had to, like, you know, dumb it down, I guess is the word I'm trying to use. But I didn't know what to narrow down. I have this issue when it comes to studying stuff or explaining things. My brain just doesn't know how to filter, which sucks. So the entire day I've just been trying to narrow things down and not be too overwhelming. Like, it's been rough. I've had a day of just trying to not sound too overly complicated, you know? Like, I'm doing my best here. I'm doing what I can. I'm proud. It's just hard, okay? It's difficult. But yeah, that's what I was doing all day today. Hi, Melon. I didn't even notice you were here. I didn't see your name. Dang it. Were you here this whole time? Hello. But yeah, I was stressed. I was stressed. I'm not gonna lie. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to explain things. So, like I did it last time when I explained the cardiovascular system, I have a link for you to get the thing that I made. Here, let me share this with you guys before I start. Share. Restricted? Anyone with the link or there, anyone with the link. Okay, copy that. Okay, so this was a lot less drawing, I think. Compared to the cardiovascular system, a lot less drawing. I think I don't think it was as much drawing. Hold on. What do I even call this? I'm gonna pin it, yeah. That doesn't look very appealing. But it is what it is. I have a lesson file for you. So you can go and download that if you want. If not, you could just watch the stream and you know, have fun with it. Choose what you will. I don't know. I did this in like 3 days, okay? I was on a time crunch. I would have started last week, but I got really busy last week, and then yeah, shit was happening, and yeah, bruh, I I wish I could have done this a little better, honestly. But I think the way that I presented everything should be fairly straightforward. If it's not clear, feel free to ask questions. I did my studying. I have my minor in physiology. I can do this. And I'm gonna start by saying again what I mentioned before, but muscle memory isn't real. Whoever told you that your muscles have memory is lying to you because it's not real. Okay? Muscle memory isn't a thing. Okay? It ain't a thing. Can I re-upload the cardiovascular file? Oh yeah. Give me a second. Let me do that for you guys. I'll make a folder. I think I should make a folder for this, and then I'll just share the folder each time. How about that? Okay, wait. Let me create this folder, and I'm gonna share with you the folder. How's that? Give me a second. I gotta. Okay, this goes in here. Rename this. Oh wait, actually no. I'm gonna be organized. This is gonna give away how I organize my notes when I was in university. It's gonna give it away so bad. Okay. But yeah, let me give you the other lesson too, because I think if you... I don't know if I like drew all over it, but I'll give this to you guys too. 1 second. Can I... Where's the share button? Share this one as a PDF. That. Give it a second. It's taking its time. I don't know why. But literally the entire day for me was just preparing for stream, talking to people. I did a thing. I turned off my alarm yesterday so that I could wake up, just naturally wake up. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to wake up to the sound of an alarm ringing, so I turned it off entirely. I was just like, fuck it. I've been up for hours and hours. Last night, like yesterday, I woke up after 4 hours of sleep, without wanting to wake up because my mom called me, as you all know if you were there at stream yesterday. But I think it was right after I I was gonna take a nap, right? But I ended up not being able to take a nap because me and the mods had to deal with some stuff, and I had this lesson thing to prepare for, so I didn't get to take my nap, which is really sad. Yeah. Hold on. Cardiology. Okay. But yeah, see, it wasn't. Not like I didn't want to. I wanted to. Don't get me wrong. But then, yeah, I didn't get much sleep, and I ended up staying awake until about 4 in the morning. So I was like, "Fuck it, I need sleep." So I turned off my, my alarm, and I woke up at like 2 p.m. Like 1 p.m. Like 1:30 in the afternoon. Like, god damn, it was late. But then, like, I knew I had to be productive. I knew I had to be. I didn't want to be, but I knew I had to be. So after that, I did work on more stuff, and I did more things, and yeah, it was a rough day. Me alarm no, but yeah, I studied a lot this afternoon. I studied while I was in the shower too. And I talked to a lot of people today. Got my daily dose of socialization. And what else did I do? I made dinner. I had Thai food for dinner, which is really cool. I rarely have Thai dinner. You know, like sticky rice and the mangoes. Yeah, it was good. And yeah, I did a lot. I did a lot today. Okay, let's. I don't want to stall for too long, so. Yeah, shit to do. Yeah, things to do. Okay. And I need my glasses. Hold on. I want glasses. Where are my glasses at? I wanna look smart. I think glasses are really cute. Oh, let's use these. This is the one that I used on the thumbnail today. Look at how cute these are. I'll add the what's it called? The credits for it later. Yeah. Aren't they cute? Look at how cute. Aren't these adorable? They're really cute glasses, right? Trying to like get it to the right spot. But I don't know where the right spot is. Maybe a bit bigger actually. Cute. Hey. Aren't these adorable? I love these glasses. They make me feel smart. They make me feel very smart. That there? No. Okay. This is the lesson. I have the lesson in front. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with where it is now. The link should be updated. Hold on. Yeah, you should have the link to the default file. The file. Let me. Did I not? Oh wait, I did. I thought I sent it out, but I did. I'm sorry. I'm a little frazzled. My brain has been going very fast lately, so. There. Place pin. But yeah, I've been. My brain is so tired. It's been doing a lot of things. Okay, it's been doing a lot. Okay. I have the lesson. And look, I have a little laser pen thingy. I feel official. I feel fancy. Now, the thing with this stream though, it's gonna be a bit different from the last time I did an educational stream, where for the first bit, like I wanted to make it very, like, what do you call it? Like we talk about the officially sounding stuff first, and then after that we could just delve into discussion. I feel like that's a little better. Oh god, I'm gonna get a lot of alerts coming up. Hold on, let it play. But yeah, I didn't want it to be too overwhelming with information, so I left a segment at the bottom, the gaming section in specific, that we would just talk about it. I didn't want to delve into too much of the details, because that could be an entire stream on its own. I want to focus on things that you guys may not even know about. So, yeah. Okay. Let me get songs for us because I need songs to focus. Just a little bit. Okay, this can go down. And oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, okay. I hope you can hear that okay. It's very quiet. I don't want it to be very loud. I hope Lo-Fi Beast just said yeah. Okay. I'm gonna move some stuff around. Give me un momento. Okay, this can go here. This can go here. Okay. Where do I have my notes? Let me get my notes out. I have newts. Okay. I kept it really simple. There's only 4 main topics. See? Simple. This is not gonna take very long. I don't think the stream's gonna be really friggin' long. It better not be anyway. Okay, so 4 things. 4 things. Nervous system definition. The types of cells that are in the nervous system, which honestly is not many. Not as many as you might think. And then we have the axon anatomy. If you don't know what an axon is, you'll know soon. Conduction velocities are for the people who like physics. And real life stuff. So reflexes in game. Those are the more conversational topics, I think. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, let's go down. What is the nervous system? See, very simple. I didn't even put in full sentences. I didn't put in full sentences because I know people don't want full sentences. I know people want easy to see things. I feel like a lot of people misunderstand the nervous system, but like they think it's one thing and not another. But the nervous system is literally everything that allows us to understand the world the way we do. That includes feeling things, tasting things, like anything tangible. Yeah, it's part of the nervous system. You wouldn't be able to feel things if you didn't have receptors in your fingies and just in your skin to be like, ooh, what's touching me, you know? But it's also internal stuff. So your nervous system controls internal things too. Like it senses what's happening inside of you and be like, oh, okay, must do this. So for example, if you're running, right, like you're choosing to go on a run, your nervous system goes like, oh, body needs more blood. Tell heart to go faster. So anytime, like, you know, in the cardiovascular system, like last time we did this, we talked about how the heart and the lung are closely related. Well, they wouldn't know what to do with each other unless there were nerves involved. You know, so it's also very internal as well. A lot of people think it's just outside. It's like, ooh, touchy. Ooh, I can smell stuff. I can see things. No. That's not all that it is. So, yeah, it's a very integral part of things. A part of living, you know? What's another big thing? Oh yeah, muscle movement. The way that, you know, oh, I have to hold a pencil like this. Or the way that you have to blink. That's an autonomous type movement that you do. Is kind of just, you do it unconsciously. You're like, oh yeah. I mean, subconsciously, it's like, oh yeah, blink. Right? And, you know, like, which fingers you use to poke things. Making decisions. That's all part of the nervous system. And yes, that includes the brain. The brain is your nervous system. It's made up of nerves. I hope people don't misunderstand that part too. Your brain is literally just nerves. A bundle of them. Big ass bundle of nerves. There's no muscle in the brain itself. It's just squishy squishy nerves. There is muscle around the brain to keep it there, you know, but there's no muscles, not really much fat there's no fat in the brain itself. It's all just nerves. So when you hear, oh yeah, white matter and gray matter, yeah, those are nerves. Those are nerves. So that's what it is. It's your nervous system. Yeah. Anything that allows you to interact with the environment, and you're like, oh yeah, I recognize that. Oh, I should do this. I'ma do that. That is all your nervous system working. Okay? Okay. Okay, this looks complicated. I swear it isn't. I didn't want to give like a full ass definition of what the peripheral and central nervous system were. I feel like it's easier to understand what it is based off of what it does. So you can tell from just focus on everything up here first, okay? Don't look at the stuff at the bottom. That's not, you don't need to look at that yet, okay? Just stuff on the top, all right? So the peripheral nervous system, that's basically all the things that aren't connected to your brain, your spinal cord, you know, like the midbrain, none of that. It's like the stuff that branches off of it is your peripheral nervous system. Your central nervous system includes the brain, the midbrain, and your spinal cord. And like the, what do you call it? Maybe it can be like the roots as well of the spinal cord, but when it diverges into nerves, that's part of your peripheral nervous system. Your limbs are peripheral? Yes. Your limbs, it's like you can even say, you know, when you, how do I put this? Your legs are part of a peripheral nervous system. So if you look at a spine, the way that it is, it's actually like this, right? This is your spinal cord, and then there's like branches that come out of it, out of your vertebrae like that. It just spreads out, right? The thing that spreads out is your peripheral nervous system. It's easiest to explain it that way. And obviously the spinal cord itself does have branches that come out of it. That's part of the central nervous system, but it's very difficult to just be like, okay, after this branch, after this one nerve splits into two, that's the peripheral nervous system. It's very hard to define it that way because your spine anatomy changes as it goes from the top to the bottom. So it's really hard to define it that way. The easiest way, simplest way to understand it is whatever is in your spine, you know, your bone spine, whatever's in there, the spinal cord, that's central nervous system. Anything branching off of that is peripheral nervous system. So, like the way you move your fingies, right, even right next to your like your heart, those are all the peripheral stuff. Okay? And I guess another way to think of it, if you really wanted to, is whatever moves. Your spinal cord does not really move. Besides what you do with your spine, like bending back and forth, the peripheral nervous system is all the things that do move. Like you consciously move them. That's another way you can look at it. But peripheral nervous system is where all of your senses pretty much start, because that's where your sensory receptors are. And there's a little bit of an order that this goes in, which I think a lot of people subconsciously understand but don't really think about. Is so when you touch something, right, you have sensory receptors that be like, okay, I know what that is, right? You'd be like, okay, I touched that. And then it could be, for example, like, you know, you touch something fluffy, like a what do you call it, like a stuffed animal of some sort, right? And that goes into your spinal cord, up the spinal cord, right? And it gets integrated in your brain. That's when it becomes central. The processing of this is fur, this is something soft, that is all in your brain. And then from that, once it gets integrated and you know what it is, you recognize it, it comes out into your, like, you call it your arms or something as a motor. You can make it a motor neuron, motor nerve, and you'd be like, okay, you start touching it more because like you start petting it or something because it feels really nice. That's how things work. It's also how reflexes work, you know? That's, you touch something, your brain recognizes it, and then your body moves in relative to what you touch. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making a lot of sense. So, I guess specifically, you can talk about specifics. Sensory receptors include things like visceral, somatic, and special receptors. Visceral means your internal organs. So, your stomach be like, oh, it's full. So, your brain goes like, oh, I understand your stomach is full now. So then the effector organs, being your stomach muscles, will start to contract more and start to digest your food. That's something visceral, like a visceral receptor is like that. It's inside of you. And somatic receptors are like your muscles, like your skeletal muscles. So your biceps, your triceps, your quads, your hamstrings, your joints, like your elbow joints, your knee joints, and your skin. So things like what you touch, like how you feel things. And special would be very specific receptors. So you can only see with your eyes, right? Those are photoreceptors. It's like your vision and your nose, your sense of smell. That's also a very specific type of receptor. Balance and hearing is also involved in that. It's all in your ear. Yeah, but they're very, very specific, very small. So that's why they're called special receptors. It's very straightforward. Yeah, the integration center, or integrating center, if you really want to call it a verb, is the whole when you process information or coordinate stuff, the sensory inputs and motor commands, that's all in there. It's all in your brain and your spinal cord. And effector organs are basically what that information your brain processes gets sent to. So it could be your like your muscles, your glands, and organs. So there's a somatic and autonomic nervous system too. And from the autonomic nervous system, it actually branches out into something called the parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system. And it's basically just like fight or flight responses and like, you know, just very, very specific things which I don't think are necessary to know for today, but I just figured I'd mention it so that you know what it is. Knocking your has go full through your brain? Yeah. Not through the brain. Not through the brain. But it's an integrating center for sure. It goes to the CNS, the central nervous system. I do not like saying long words, so I'm sorry if I end up being like a CNS or PNS because they're just so much easier to say. Okay? Okay. And that's like the process of it all. That's why I wanted to explain it to you first. Peripheral and then central and then peripheral again. That's how you, it's like the loop that it goes in, like an arc, which is why it's called an arc. It's because, you know, it goes from one place to another in the back. But transduction is the actual carrying of the information from a receptor and into a neuron or a nerve. So if we talk about the bottom part here, it starts from here. Any kind of receptor that requires motor functions or would result in a motor function. Let's say like, let me think of a receptor. Like heat receptor in your skin. You touch fire. That's here. And then it goes through something called an axon. An axon is basically the long part of a neuron. And it goes through something called an afferent nerve. Afferent is like traveling of information towards the brain. Yeah, afferent neuron. Go to brain. Okay? And this is the cell body because nerves are cells. Nerves have a nucleus and they are nerves. They have like cytosol and they have what's the like mitochondria. Okay, they are, you would not think this, but nerves do have a cell body. And it's just a very, very long cell. Most people think cells are just like circles, like a circle with a nucleus and then a bunch of other stuff inside of it. But nerves have that too. They do have like a main body. Okay? And then it goes through something called the dorsal root. The dorsal root is like the back of your spine. So like if you just like touch your back, like, you know, people go like, oh my god, out my back. They put their hand on their back. That's the side that they're talking about. The posterior side, it's the back. Dorsal and posterior are basically the same word. It's just a fancier word. Yeah. And then it goes through into this thing here, which is a very annoying thing to explain, but this part is important. So this is the dorsal horn, which is where any of the sensory information comes through, and then it goes through an interneuron, which is a neuron specifically within. It's like, how do I explain it? It's a neuron that connects one neuron to another. It's like the middleman of neurons, and this neuron takes the sensory information coming from here, and it turns it into motor information or a motor signal here, where it comes out towards the anterior side of your spinal cord, so like the front, basically like your belly side. And it goes out through something called the ventral root. The ventral root basically is another word for anterior. It's like the same word. And it comes out through an efferent neuron. Efferent neurons or nerves are basically things that send information out of your CNS. Like afferent is in and then efferent is out. Okay? It's through a motor neuron, and then it goes to an effector. We talked about effectors. Effectors are muscle glands and organs. Okay? Okay. And this is just weird fact, but the dorsal sulcus and the ventral sulcus are like little divots in your spinal cord. It's not like a perfectly round structure, okay? Okay. Any questions? Are nerves just a bunch of neurons put together? Yes. And do you know it's like a neuron joint? Yes. And that thing, yes. It looks like breaded does. So far I can follow? Okay. Okay. See this? I wanted to explain it as much as I could. Like, because this is very fundamental information. We're afferent and then efferent stuff. Okay? I wanted to make it very clear. Okay? It looks like sticky hands. I know this because it is what it kind of looks like realistically. This is spinal column? Yeah, so this is, again, this is not to scale, okay? But this is a superior view of a spinal cord. So spinal cords, right? This is like the brain. And then this is the spinal cord going down your body. It's basically looking at it from, like, if it was cut like this. Does that make sense? Like, you're looking at it from here. Like, from this tiny little point of view. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Okay? Okay. Histology! This is actually not that difficult. I didn't do any pictures for this because I didn't think it was necessary, to be fully honest. Wait, did I miss anything in the other one? No, I don't think I did. Okay, but histology is not... For the nervous system, for the sake of today, I'm simplifying it a lot. But there's a lot of different cells that are involved in the nervous system. And for today's purpose, I want to focus on two. Okay? So, I'll explain some, but not all. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. But yeah, in the nervous system, like I said, the nervous system connects a lot of things together, right? And it doesn't have a lot of extracellular matrix, or ECM. And what that is like the space outside of a nerve, for example. It's not full of space, or it's not full of just random liquid. It's very packed together. They're very close. They're very densely packed together. Okay? And the neuroglia is not the nerve itself. It's the things that surround the neurons. And they do not conduct electricity, meaning they are not the things that send information. They're not the things that send a signal from one to another. Okay? We shorten it to glia. Typically like glia cells or glial cells. But I just call it glia. There are a few examples which I think are important to note. Oligodendrocytes, Schwann cells, astrocytes. For today, oligodendrocytes and Schwann cells are more important to know. So oligodendrocytes are part of the central, they're part of the CNS. Schwann cells are part of the PNS. You'll see what they are in just a bit. I have like a definition for them and everything. Astrocytes, on the other hand, not really important for today, but they are basically nerves that connect nerves to other parts of the body that aren't related, that aren't part of the nervous system. So, for example, astrocytes will connect a blood vessel to the nerve or neuron. So, for example, the way that if say your blood starts racing a lot faster in around your body, the astrocyte will detect that and then tell a neuron, okay, blood flow increased. You know, and then a nerve or whatever will send that information to another part of the body and be like, oh, the blood goes faster. Need to pump hard faster. Like that. You know? It's like it's the communication between another system to the nervous system. Yeah. That's how I like to think of it anyway. Okay. And neurons, straightforward, they are basically nerve cells, and they are the things that transmit any of these signals from one place to another. Like, they'll receive the information from receptors and send it to your integrating centers and out to effectors. That is the neuron. And it is surrounded by neuroglia. Okay. Simple as that. I swear it does not get any more complicated. Okay. These are the different types of cells. I feel like this is more of something I need to explain one by one. But there are 3 different cells which I talked about. 3 different neurons. They're all cells. I say cells, but they're all neurons and they're very interchangeable. They all look different. I think that much is clear. But I tried to make it very easy to understand. Okay, this is very basic. I didn't add any details. I kept it as plain as possible. Okay? So, in a sensory neuron, interneuron, and efferent neurons, they all have 4 things in common, which is the areas of reception, integration, conduction, and transmission. They all have these 4 areas, no matter what. Okay? So, if we start from the sensory neuron, it receives information from here. This is where it receives information. Okay? And it integrates information at the cell body, which is over here. I would actually say it's more so down here, to be honest, in this little intersection over there. And it conducts through the axons, which is this. Okay? That's the conduction area. And it transmits that information here at the end. See? Simple. So an interneuron, if you remember, is the part that is in the spinal cord, and it takes information from a sensory neuron and gives it to an efferent neuron. Okay. So interneurons will receive information from here, and then it will integrate it in here. Typically, I would say here and here, to be honest. And it conducts through these branches. There's many branches. And it'll transmit it at the end here. Right? Okay. And this one, in particular, does not have the blue thingies for a very specific reason. And you'll know in a bit, okay? You'll know in a bit. And efferent neurons, well, like I said, if you think about it this way, this connects to here. This connects to here. Okay? So, efferent neurons, they take information in from here. That's the receptors that they have. It integrates here. Like the signals go down this way. And it integrates here. It conducts through this long passage down there and transmits the information to these little endings. Okay? And there's a reason why I've drawn them in such a specific way, with the little dots at the bottom, and you'll see in a bit why. But they basically all 4 of these areas, parts, will be in the neuron, no matter what kind of neuron. It is? It is? Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Any questions? The mailman? With the red dots or the nucleus? Nucleus. Yeah. How does it know which branch it must go down? Information travels in one way. So it knows. It knows which way it needs to go. The conduction of electricity cannot fall backwards. It doesn't go backwards. It's one way only. So once it receives information, it can only go this way. It goes through the path of least resistance, which is this way. Or for this one, it's going this way. For this one, it's going this way. It knows. Yeah. Myelin? This stuff. I'll talk about it in a bit. I wanted to get through the neuron stuff first. Do neurons have the same overall cell organs, or do they have any special organs? So, we can move on then, if you're gonna ask something like that. So, cell anatomy, or axon anatomy, or dendrite anatomy, or neuron anatomy, whatever you want to call it. So, if you're gonna ask a question like that, I need to look for this. If it comes in on one branch, does it just go out a paired exit branch? Yes. You'll see in a bit. So, are interneurons redundant? No. Because interneurons take that information from an efferent neuron. I mean an afferent neuron. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they take the information from afferent neurons. They do the integration part in the spinal cord or an integration center, like the brain, and it'll transfer it to a motor neuron of some sort to have efferent effects. Yeah, it'll take it to an effector. Effector do be the thing that it sends the information to, so it's not redundant. Yeah, little biological CPUs, kinda. I would say the CNS in itself is like a biological CPU. Yeah. Hi, Papa. Okay. Let's start from here. So you guys all know regular looking cells, right? They look like a blob with a nucleus, and then there's endoplasmic reticulum, and there's mitochondria. Yeah, it's all in here. It's all in there too. I know it doesn't look like it would be, but I promise you, it is all in here. Okay? They have their own little vesicles things, and they have their own, cytosol and that, right? It's all in there. People might not know that, but nucleus and other specific organs of a cell, they're in the neuron. Okay? And so we call it the cell body. Typically, this big blob of things coming out of the nucleus thing is the cell body. Okay? And we call the branches specifically dendrites. I've been trying to avoid using that word for the entire stream so far because you had no idea what it meant. But dendrites are the branches that they kind of, how to explain this? This is like, it's where they receive information and, bring it to the neuron. That's a dendrite, the branches. Okay? An axon hillock. Very fancy sounding word. It is where the signal gets integrated. So remember we talked about signal integration. Every neuron will have it. That happens in this little thing. Yeah. And it's where action potentials get initiated. If you don't know what an action potential is, I'd say look at lesson 1. But action potentials are basically electric signals. They're the signals that get sent down into to deliver information. That's the axon. That's where the axon hillock does the whole action potential shit. Yeah. So it's where signals build up a certain voltage and send it down. Yeah. It has to pass a certain threshold here so that it can send all the information down this way. Okay? And this whole thing... Actually, no, let's end it like here. From here to here. Yeah, Okay? That whole thing is an axon. It's where the signal is conducted. And if you don't know what conducted is, it's basically electricity going through a thing. Yeah. Like a chemical, electrical... Yeah! Yeah, it's like a little tube of electricity or signal for a signal to go through. Yeah, that's what the axon is. Okay? Okay. Pressure valve? Kinda. There's no pressure actually being built, but if you think about it as like as electricity building up to a certain point for it to be sent down, then yes. Yes, the blue thingy. We're gonna talk about the blue thingy. But let's move to focus on the orangey things first, okay? These are also dendrites. And these at the bottom, you can't really see it because I'm using a different color, but this thing, these little circly dudes, those are called axon terminals. And axon terminals is where the signal is finally taken to its target effector or cell or whatever you want to call it, you know, the end part, the end of the signal. Okay? It finally reached its end. And in the axon terminal, many things happen that you could not even fathom. I'll keep it simple though. There is something called a neurotransmitter and the synapse. The synapse. I'm gonna draw this real quick. So remember how I said there was like a little blob thingy? Imagine this is the end of the neuron, okay? This is a neuron. Okay, that's the neuron. And this is like a muscle of some sort. Okay? This down here is a muscle of some sort. Okay? The synapse is this space in between it. That's the synapse. And neurotransmitters are the things that fall in between the synapse to go from a neuron to its end, like an effector. Okay? That's the neurotransmitter. And the neurotransmitter, there are actually many ways that neurotransmitters get sent across the synapse. They can come in like vesicles. They can just come out like... Hold on, they go like this and then out this way. You know, they go like that. You know, they like vesicles. The little vesicles are basically blobs of... What do you call it? It's like a pocket. Yeah, it's like a pocket. And then it combines with the cell wall here so that it can be released. That kind of thing. Yeah. So there are many ways that cells can go, neurotransmitters can leave a neuron. That's one of them. The other is just like channels, but I don't want to... Explaining channels can take an entire hour, so I refuse to do that. Ow! Hit the mic, I'm sorry. So, what's an example? Like acetylcholine? Acetylcholine... How do I even spell it? Acetylcholine. This is a very common neurotransmitter, and we shorten it to this, typically, just ACH. And it goes to neuromuscular junctions. A neuromuscular junction is specifically the neuron to muscle end terminal thingy. Yeah, like how do I spell this? Neuromuscular junction. That's how you spell it. Yeah. Fancy word for the thing between neurons and muscles. Yeah. Okay? Now, the fancy thing that all of you have been asking me about is why the blue thingy exists. What's the blue thingy? I'll tell you what the blue thingy is. Jeez, I'll tell you what the blue thingy is. Okay? So, the blue thingy. The blue thingy. We talked about this. Big words. I know it do be big words. Do we know the reason neurotransmitters have... very debated thing, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure it's just evolution stuff. I don't think anybody really knows about why it's specifically that. Although direct connections, when you think about it, this is actually one theory, is that say you sense something and it like you can only sense it. If it's a direct connection, it's only like you only sense it. There's no area for it to be integrated and for you to recognize what it is and for you to react to it. Because it's all just the one signal being sent. It hasn't changed into anything else. So that's one of the reasons why it's not a direct connection. But if you're talking about like why it doesn't directly touch each other, like why there's a synapse and why the neuron just doesn't directly touch the muscles, well, think about what would happen if your muscles started moving around and your nerves would move with it in a way that you didn't want it to. So, for example, like the muscles in your back, right? Like you have, here's a second draw. Your muscles and your bones, right? This is your spine. You have the spinal cord that goes down it like this, right? In the middle. If your back muscles, right, start to move this way and that way, along with your spine and the spinal cord, can you imagine how often it would get squished and twisted and turned? And the chances of having some kind of, like, you know, injury to your spinal cord, that would be very bad. You would get paralyzed very quickly. So that would be one of the reasons why direct connections would not be a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, even from the spine, like even from the spinal cord to your back muscles, it like outside of the spine, like right next to it to keep it stabilized. You know, this is your spinal cord, right? You have muscles on the outside here and here to keep it stable. Well, there's a reason why. There's a reason why. You don't want to be moving those nerves around just anywhere. Okay, so those are one of the two reasons. Like two reasons that you won't have a direct connection is the integration part and just how easily it could get damaged. Like pinched nerves, for example. Like if you have a nerve. Oh god.
Thank you for the science class, me sensei.
You're welcome, Mochi-san. Thank you. But yeah, like say this is, I'm gonna draw a really rough sketch of a muscle. Say this is your muscle, right? And you have a nerve. Let's see if I can draw it. It's a different color. You have a nerve that goes in it, like this. And say it started to stretch, so it was like this instead. Then your nerve inside of it would be like, whee! It would not like it. I can tell you that much. You would not want to know what it feels like. Pinched nerves are painful. Okay, I hope that answers that. I explained it really well. Thank you. I'm trying to be very basic with my language. I'm trying not to use the fancy words. Yeah, when you draw all back, yeah, it's painful. Why is chiropractors a thing? Like, do they tug on your spine? No. So chiropractors, what they do is they really slowly shift any, what do you call it, like, not imperfection, I wouldn't say that, anything that could injure your spine, for example. So I actually had to go to a chiropractor for about a year, and I did work in a chiropractor's office, remember that. So I actually know a lot about the spine, way more than I wish I knew. But what chiropractors do is they actually don't directly, sometimes they don't directly touch your spine actually. Sometimes they manipulate the muscles around your spine. So say someone has a spine that's like kind of like, say they have like scoliosis, their back is like this, right? This is your spine and your vertebrae. Imagine that's what it is. They'll basically try and shove it back into its proper position, like to make it straight again. Or that's like the lateral issue though, right? Lateral being like left and right, there's an issue. It doesn't go in a straight line. But say like your spine, it's supposed to go in a specific curve, right? From your head, right? It goes, the cervical spine goes like these. So your thoracic is like this, your lumbar goes like this, your cervical goes like that. And this is your head. Okay? And these are your eyes. Hey. Okay, it goes like that. You know, I'm trying to, it's not a good drawing, but like you get what I mean. Some people have spines that are like, you know, and then they're like big hump in back. Chiropractors fix that kind of thing. Yeah. Because when people are in such a position where their spines are so compressed together like that, their cerebral spinal fluid gets, like, there's a lot less cerebral spinal fluid, nerves are getting pinched, you lose feeling in the lower parts of your body, sometimes even the upper parts of the body, like your fingers. I've actually met a few people who couldn't move their fingers because a section in their spine was being compressed. So it is a good thing to manipulate it in cases like that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's actually very dangerous, which is why you have to get certified for it. Oh, I forgot the N. Okay, Schwann cells. I can finally move back to this. So, Schwann cells, they are, like I said, part of the peripheral nervous system, and they make up something called the myelin sheath. Schwann cells, I'm gonna say this one more time. Schwann cells make up the myelin sheath. They are not the myelin sheath in its entirety. They make up the myelin sheath in the PNS. And oligodendrocytes are basically the central nervous system component, like, of the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath does exist in the central nervous system, but I want to focus more on the peripheral. I think it's more important to what I'm about to explain, so yeah. Schwann cells. That's the blue thingy, myelin sheath. And what it does is that it insulates the axon so that electricity doesn't get lost. Like, electricity can easily decay, and the myelin sheath will keep the electricity inside the axon or inside the neuron. Okay? The node of Ranvier. A lot of people say Ranvier, and I'm like, no, Ranvier. The node of Ranvier is where electricity gets conducted. It's where saltatory conduction goes, and the, like, what do you call it? It's the gap between the myelin sheaths, and it allows sodium and potassium to, like, do their channel thingy and get more electricity, and then it goes down the axon. Yeah. Okay. I'll explain it better in a bit, but that's basically what it is. It's just a space. It's a space between the myelin sheath for electricity to get conducted, and for action potentials to be generated. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next! Conduction velocity! Conduction velocities! This is for you physics people. For anyone who likes physics, you would love this. Action potentials are the electrical signals, and they are basically what saltatory conduction is in its entirety. It's the act of, not act of, more like, it's the saltatory conduction. Think of salt, saltatory, right? So a lot of sodium and potassium pump stuff. There's graded potentials. There's lots of different types of potentials, but saltatory conduction is when sodium and potassium, they do their whole exchange thing at the nodes of Ranvier, and that's what causes electricity to continuously be sent down.
Mino smart.
Thank you. But yeah, that's what makes electricity go down the axon. It's sodium. Yes, sodium. But thank you, Tuxedo. Thank you. Sodium builds up within the nodes of Ranvier. And when an electrical signal reaches the node of Ranvier, the insane amount of sodium that gets built up is it goes past a certain threshold for action potentials to occur, and that's what allows electricity to continuously be sent down such a long way. Have you ever thought about how your brain can send information all the way down to your toes? Have you not thought about that? It's a very long distance. I'm gonna tell you that. It's a very long distance. So from your brain to your toes, that's what violin sheath has to do. It keeps it insulated so the electricity doesn't die out by the time it gets to your toes. And these nodes of Ranvier, there needs to be a space so that the sodium can conduct and your electricity oh god, my throat, can pass it down. Yeah. So I can get cramps if you're running out of... Yes! Yes. One of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. Cramps actually have more to do with calcium, but yeah, it's one thing. It is one thing. You're on the right track. But yeah, it's a long way down. Okay? Okay. But yeah, I think it says here somewhere. Yeah, the second sentence. Anything surrounded by a myelin sheath, the axons, I mean, any neuron surrounded by a myelin sheath will have action potentials go down faster. That's why when your feet move, they don't feel like delayed compared to your fingers. It's because they have a lot of that myelin sheath going down. That's why. Even your arms and your hands and like it's there too. Don't get me wrong, it's there too. But you just don't have as not as many because the nerves don't have to be as long. So starting from like say the end of the spinal cord, which it ends at your pelvic bone, and it splits into two. One goes down your left leg, one goes down your right leg, and at your knee, that's where that big thing splits into two bigger branches. One for your tibia, one for your fibula. Okay. Yeah, it just, they're all wrapped with this myelin sheath thing. Okay. Diameter. Basic physics, y'all. It's like water. Water travels through the path of least resistance. So does electricity. So the fatter your nerve is, the more action potentials can be generated. And speed too. Yeah, the more action potentials can be generated at a faster rate so that it can go down the nerve. Yeah. There's less resistance. You know, cytosol can actually cause resistance to electricity flow or action potential flow. So, like your cell body, it doesn't conduct a lot of electricity because there's a lot of cytosol or liquidy stuff in between. So say we go back here, right? Like I said, is here the what do you call it? This particular thing here is the area that action potentials get generated or conducted, whatever you wanna call it. It's here because there's a bunch of other stuff around here that make it really hard to have fast what do you call it? Fast generation of action potentials. Yeah. Okay. Did I miss it? No, it's right here. Okay. Myelination. Myelination is basically having myelin around your axons or not. But yeah, they will conduct it faster because of the jumpy thingy. So, this over here is an axon that does not have myelin around it, and instead it just relies on the voltage gated ion channels where sodium and potassium get exchanged to conduct an action potential throughout the axon, and it decays a lot faster. It goes down a lot faster because it doesn't have the chance to just zoom towards another node like this, they just keep going along the thing with nothing to prevent ions from leaking out of the axon. Is there any point in leaving certain areas? Yes. Yes, there is. So, unsheathed neurons or axons are the kind of nerves or neurons that don't need to travel far distances. So, for example, within your brain, like your interneurons, they don't have myelination because they're so close to each other. There's just no need for it. And instead, they go through these voltage-gated ion channels to send information to one another. Instead of the myelination one. Like, instead of having this. There's just too short of a distance. They don't need to go zoom. So, like, in one... you got one axon, doesn't need to do that. Usually in the brain, you can just transfer information very, very closely. Yeah. Yeah. Or like... say neurons that communicate with each other in your face, like your cheekbones, for example, your jaw. You don't need myelinated neurons in that area. Typically, they're just, what do you call it? The voltage-gated ion channel type axons. They don't have the myelination. You don't need the... It's not that far of a distance. Or like from your eyes, for example. If you've seen how your eyes look in the brain. These are your eyes. Wait, no, I'm gonna use color. Like this. If these are your eyes, at the back of your eyes, there's a nerve that goes like this. And it crosses over. It goes like that into your brain. None of this has any myelination in it because it's just so close to your brain. You don't need it. Yeah. Aren't you my teacher? Hey, I wish I could be everyone's teacher, but it's difficult to get hired, you know what I mean? It looks like a snail? A little bit. A little bit, but that's how your eyes are. Oh, did you know? Fun fact. Your eyes are like this, right? Let me draw this again. No, that looks bad. Here? Okay, I'm gonna do this with color because it's so much easier to understand. Let's say... Okay, these are your eyeballs, right? I'm gonna... No, I'm not gonna... Okay, you know where your eyeballs are. I don't need to explain that. Say this is your left one, and this is your right eye. Say, like, you're looking this way, right? And you're looking to your left. So you can tell that the one closer here is left, the one farther here is right. Let's say that there is an object like... let's see. Your phone. Your phone? Okay, this is your phone. Your eyesight goes like... It's that. And it goes this way. Does this make sense? Or like... It goes in this way. It goes like this. So your right eye gets processed by your left brain. And your left eye gets processed by your right brain. Does that... I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was cool to tell you. Reflections are a thing, yeah. We see things in inverse and upside down. Why is it like that? Evolution. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's enough about all the technical stuff. I didn't want to go into too much detail with the technical things. But okay. Real life applications and muscle memory. This is a bunch of words. And it's a bunch of words because I didn't know how to explain it with just... you know, just... pictures. So, left hand by right brain too? Yes. Anything that's your left side of the body is controlled by the right brain. By the right motor cortex. Yeah. I should just do a brain stream one day. Do axons branch off? Are they all single line point-to-point connections? That depends on the type of neuron. So there's unipolar, bipolar, multipolar neurons. And if it's a unipolar neuron, then it would, like, say for example this one, instead of it looking like this, it would end like that. That's a unipolar neuron. It depends on where in the body it is, but there are other types of neurons that exist. Now people say lefties are more creative with stuff? Not necessarily, no. No. Where were we? Here we are. Okay. There? I'm trying to make sure I don't block it. There. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know how to explain this without just words. I couldn't... I didn't know what to draw if I did. I hoped I explained it right. But this is why muscle memory doesn't exist. All of the processing of movement happens in your brain. It doesn't happen in the muscle. Clearly, muscles get told by the brain what to do. They're basically just kind of sitting there until you tell it to do something. Yeah. So, obviously there's autonomous type muscle contractions, kind of like, you know, your breathing. It happens automatically. Your brain just keeps telling it to do it. Or blinking, you don't really think about it, but you still do it. So it's not that your muscles just remember to keep doing it. It's your brain telling it to do it continuously. And obviously there's a point where it switches from autonomous to more conscious type movement. So parasympathetic to sympathetic. Sympathetic is conscious movement. Parasympathetic is unconscious movement, or like subconscious movement. And so you're breathing consciously. Even if you had to breathe manually, very, very bad. It would be very bad if you had to breathe manually. I'm not gonna lie. At least all the time, it would be very bad, especially in your sleep. I don't think you would want to be breathing just through manual breathing in your sleep. That'd be unfortunate. But muscle memory. Most people associate muscle memory with a certain skill. Like, say for example, how I play Project Sekai. A lot of people like to be like, oh, you have good muscle memory. Your fingers know exactly what they need to do. Yeah, no, my fingers don't know jack shit. It's my brain that does. My brain knows what to send to my fingies. So that includes fine or gross movements like throwing balls or kicking something or learning how to walk. Right? Like babies learning how to walk. That's a gross movement. Fine movements are very small things like sewing, drawing, rhythm games. FPS games where you have to use your mouse to aim, that's also a fine movement. It's very small. But muscle memory is the act of learning a new motor skill. It's actually not your muscles remembering anything. It's your brain making connections. So if you do an action multiple times, that means the neurons in your brain get activated a ton of times. So, for example, me playing Project Zega, I think that's the easiest thing to relate to. My eyes see the game a shit ton. So my brain goes like, oh, I recognize this. And a lot of pathways are made in my brain, and it sends it out to my fingers and be like, okay, the second you see this, you gotta do this. I have a very efficient pathway where that connection can be made very, very quickly. So my fingers know what to do right away. But for some people who, like newbie players, for example, they don't have those connections yet. They haven't built that. So because they haven't done this action before, they don't have many neurons to activate besides the ones that currently exist. So their effectors, their fingers for example, do not move according to the way that they want it to because they haven't practiced it. Their neurons haven't activated. At least not the ones that you would want it to, or like new connections haven't been made. So, the muscles themselves don't remember. It is the brain that remembers. Okay? And when you practice something enough, the neurons in your brain that develop that like new pathways being built and developed, eventually that cortex in your brain, the part of your brain that actually does all of that, where it's like, okay, this is what you have to do, that part of the brain actually ends up growing. It shows a bigger area because of how much you use it. Do these pathways decay if you don't use them? Yes, eventually they do. They do. Obviously, there is a point where, like, say, if I haven't played a rhythm game for a year, it'd definitely be easier for me to come back to than if I hadn't played in 10 years. Right? If you stopped playing a certain sport for a year, it shouldn't take too much effort to get back into the movements again. You might not have the same muscle mass as you did before from when you're doing it so much because you built it, but at the very least, you'd remember the movement itself. That's what the brain is. That's what the brain's doing. But if you hadn't played in 10 years, you might stutter a little bit, you know? In practice, you think less about moving your body knows when I say still brain? Yes. Still your brain. Your brain remembers, okay, your arm goes over here, your legs goes over here. Turn around at this timing. That's all your brain. That's all your brain. Your muscles move according to what your brain tells it to. So, it's all your brain. Your brain remembers the movements you have to do and that it needs to execute it at a certain way. All your brain. It's all in the brain. Like, yes, your muscles obviously have to do the work in like bending and, you know, moving up and down and flexing and relaxing or stretching. Yeah, obviously your muscles put in the work. But they don't know how to work unless your brain tells it to. So, it's all in the brain. It's all in the brain. Is there anything else I forgot? Phantom limb sensations? So, yeah, your brain is constantly sending out, whatchamacallit, signals, but you're not actually, like, that's the phantom pain. Your brain is sending out the signal that you're feeling something, even though it's not actually there. Yeah. It does assume the sensory input. But eventually it will go away. It takes a really fucking long time though. Are different skills developed differently or at different speeds? I would say they're developed based on how you use that skill. Like for me, rhythm games, I picked it up really quickly because I practiced it every single day. I played it every single day. For some people, it takes a bit longer because they might not practice as much. And of course, everybody has like an affinity for certain things. Like some people hate math, some people love math. So you pick it up better. Some people take a lot longer to understand it. So different skills, different speeds. Either way, some people have an affinity towards things more than others. It makes you do better than before when doing this. You don't play really bad before, but then after quitting the game, you do better after. I'd say it's like a reset. So, say your fingers get activated in playing that rhythm game for so long, they fatigue, right? You might need a break. Your fingies get tired and you might not even know it. But afterwards, when your brain resets, it feels refreshed, and then you play it again, it's like, oh, I recognize this. Your brain has had time to process exactly what it was that you had, and it solidifies over time, like the neurons, the connections, it solidifies over time. Is gut instinct a real thing? You're talking about a flight or fight response, which is more of a parasympathetic thing that it's like your autonomic nervous system is deciding to choose between going to do something or not. It's very much the decision-making thing, the decision-making part of your brain that is telling you, okay, this what I see is good or bad. And it sends that information to your body, be like, this is what you gotta do. So, in a way, yes. Maybe the brain rebuilt the neurons after a month or it's not exactly rebuilding, it's more like solidifying connections. Like, you've made the connection, it needs time to be efficient. And taking a day or two off? Yeah, like you've seen me when I play rhythm games, right? In the beginning, it's all fine, and then eventually it starts to die out. And that's because my brain it's been activated for so long. Those connections have been going constantly for 2-3 hours. It's done. It's tired. the action potentials don't want to fire no more. Or, like, sometimes I tell you guys I'm having a bad hand day where I just know that playing rhythm games today would be a bad idea. And that's because I know, okay, my fingies are tired. It ain't gonna work. The connection between my fingers to my brain isn't really solid, you know? Like, my fingers feel tired, they're not gonna react the way that my brain wants it to. So, it is sometimes better to take a step back and then come back to something later. In a way, I wouldn't say so. Puzzle, can you take a break from it? Yeah! Think about it, you look at a puzzle, there's so many different pieces. It gets overwhelming. Your brain is trying to connect this puzzle piece to that one, to that one, to that one. It's seeing way too many things at once. That's why people like to work on sections of puzzle pieces. Like, say you're doing a really big one, you work on the corners and then you eventually work on like a small section. That bigger section that you make can connect to another one. It makes it a lot easier for your brain to handle. Not as many areas of your brain need to fire all at the same time. Is it also ideal to take breaks and doing homework so you don't get overwhelmed? Yes, of course. Think about it. You're trying to say you're studying for a test, right? You're trying to remember so many things. You're trying to understand so many things. So the neurons in your brain are firing all the time. Of course it needs a break. Of course it needs a break. It's a healthy thing to do, to take breaks. Neat. So yeah, muscle memory ain't a thing. And if you guys want to know, you want to look this up yourself. The part of the brain that does the motor actions or learning motor patterns is called the cerebellum. 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 Yeah, I hope that helps. I was avoiding thinking too much for at least an hour, make sure I'm paralyzed. Yes, it's actually a very good thing to do. So, you know when people study for exams, right? They do last minute studying up until the exam starts. I personally wouldn't do that. Because by the time that you get to an exam, that means you're still trying to build new connections in your brain. It's not solidified yet. And some people are lucky, they have good short-term memory, meaning that those neural pathways that they created to connect information, you know, they can stick around a bit longer. So people with good short-term memory have that. Good interneural connections, meaning the tiny neurons. Okay? In your brain, they stick around. For some people, it's not like that. Some people need time to create neural pathways to understand a concept. And say, like for me with biology, learning all of these axon stuff, it took me longer than a day to remember, okay, this is part of this, the dendrites come from here, this is what they do, the axon is this, the myelin sheath is this, the node of Ranvier does this. It took me over like a week to really understand everything and to remember it too. So it doesn't come just right away. It took time for me to remember. And say right before an exam you're still trying to remember, it means you haven't practiced enough or you haven't studied enough prior to it, that your neurons haven't been able to create a solidified pathway for you to be like, oh yeah, right, I remember this, which leads to this, which leads to that. You're not ready yet. Neural trick to studying is repetition? Yes, repetition in advance too. So a thing with anatomy, for example, is that you have to remember individual names of muscles, limbs, bones, organs, cells, different types of cells, exactly what they do. You can't remember all of that in a week. You have to start studying for these things like months in advance. If you don't, you're gonna get overwhelmed. You're not gonna remember anything. And the only reason why I was able to remember stuff, like, as well as I do now, is because I studied a long time in advance. Oh, Riz, welcome to the membership! Is there a debris or some kind of waste product left behind from the conductions? No. No. Remember there's this thing? There's a phrase. Energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed. Does that help? So what happens is your brain conducts that electricity and transforms it into a motor signal. That motor signal goes to your muscles, and your muscles end up doing a motion, a physical motion. That's where the energy went. Trying to sleep us all because the neurons don't want to fire electroshocks anymore? Oui. Yes. It's done. It's very done. Yo, I should do an entire stream about sleep. You know, I took a course in university called Introduction to the Biology of Sleep. In mammals, specifically. It was great. I should do a whole entire course about it. You guys will get to learn so much about the brain. It's almost always heat? Yes. Did you get to sleep in it? Never. Think you need that? Okay. Next stream. Okay. Many of you have asked this so far, so I think we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. I can't let this go on. There's so... okay. When people talk about reflexes, I get so pissed. Okay? I get angry with what people think reflexes actually are. So, when people tell me, oh yeah, your reflexes must be so good because you play Project Sekai at like level 28. Nuh-uh. No, I have shitty reflexes. Okay, my reflexes are shit. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. I don't like when people use the word reflex around me, okay? Not in the way that they're meant to anyway. Hi, Trouty! Hey! Okay, so reflexes are involuntary. Keyword involuntary. Involuntary. Okay, I don't want to do involuntary response to stimuli. Okay? And what they are is your survival instincts. You need them to survive. Okay? And it occurs through something called a reflex arc, which is honestly what I've been talking about for the entire stream. Reflex arc. Okay? Yes! See, they're not reflexes. It's a skill. Okay? It's a learned skill. Okay? So, a reflex. This is an example of a reflex. Knee jerk / stretch / patellar tendon reflex. Okay, everyone knows what this is. You've seen it in pictures, you've seen it at the doctor's office. I'm sure you've seen it somewhere. You hit the lower tendon of the patella. So, you know what your patella looks like? Your knee joint? So, say this is your humerus. Okay, this is your... not humerus. Your femur. Say this is your femur. Okay, and then this is your tibia. So, this is your thigh. This is your calf. Okay? Your patella. Patella is like this word right here. Patellar is just like another word for it, but you know. So patella. It sits right about here. It looks like this. Okay? This is your patella. It's the knee. It's the knee bone. Your knee bone. If you just touch it, you bend your knee, you can actually touch it. You can feel for it. It's not that difficult to feel for actually. Yeah, if you bend your knee, you can feel around your bone. Let's see. I'm gonna try and do this. You can test this out. You put your knee at a 90-degree angle. Like you just sit down on a chair properly with your feet on the floor, and you just squish the sides of your knee. You can feel the little indents. That's basically the sides of your patella. Okay? And if you just kind of bring your fingers to the middle of your knee, you can feel the little divot, little dip in your knee. That's where it's like right here. That's where the hammer hits to cause a reflex. Okay? And yeah, it wraps around like that. That's your tendon. And the it's connected around this thing. So that's a closer look to what this part was. Okay? Yeah, the hammer hits that part of your knee, right below it. Right below the little, it's like in that little divot. And it causes your muscles, particularly your quads, to feel that your tendon has been stretched. Because when you hit the hammer down, your muscle gets pulled. So when it gets pulled, that sensory information goes up into this place. Remember what this is? Remember you recognize what this thing is over here? This little blue blob. That's an sensory neuron. Okay, the sensory neuron's cell body, and it has an integration center. That's where it's like, oh, I sense a stretch in the muscle. The cell body, yes. It is not the interneuron. But yeah, the sensory neuron goes like, ooh, I sense the stretch. And then it comes here. Into the spinal cord. In the dorsal horn. The dorsal horn, do you remember what that is? That's long. It do be. Yeah, it's in the dorsal horn. And in the dorsal horn, that's where the interneuron in your spinal cord touches or connects with your sensory neuron. And it goes like, ooh, stretch. I feel it. I see it. Time to tell the muscle to go stretchy. Contracty. I don't know. But then it goes out from the motor neurons. Boop, to there. And it goes like, ooh, time to contract. Time to stretch. And then it kicks you. So your feet go up. Like this. And it's a reflex. It's a survival reflex. If something hits you there, you're gonna be like, oh, fuck you. Yeah, that's why it happens. It's a reflex. To keep things away from you. It's a survival reflex. The whole thing is one cell. It depends on how many nerves you're hitting. How many nerves you're hitting. I would say it's multiple. I don't think it's just one cell, to be honest. I mean, eventually when it goes through the spinal cord, it does integrate together to become one thing. Eventually it will branch. I'm making it very simple. But yeah, there are multiple branches. It's not one whole thing. I mean, from the stretch receptors, that's one cell itself. But the like the stretch receptors tell the neuron through neurotransmitters, like, ooh, a thing happened. And then it goes to the spine. And then, so basically from here, after the receptor, no, like here. I can't draw it specifically, but from there to just before it hits, you know, at the end of it, when it hits the interneuron, that's one. That is one whole thing. Yeah. But there's multiple of these, right? It's not just one. There's actually like multiple of them going through. Like, why do some reflexes freeze if you, let's say, throw a thing at them instead of reflexively ducking or catching? Is it sensory overload or something? Think of it as fight or flight response. When someone throws something at you, you have a split second to be like, what do I do? Some people are not able to make that decision fast enough, so they freeze. Some people will try and catch it because they know, okay, I can, like, oh, I got this, you know? But some people will be like, oh shit, no. And then they duck. That's because they're able to make that decision fast enough. Some people cannot. Some people cannot make it. Feel like hitting the knee and nothing happens. That probably just means there's not enough stimuli. Honestly. Like, the threshold has not been met. So you see, like, some doctors, they'll start really light. And eventually, they'll just hit harder and harder and harder. Until it happens. A traveler signal all one sounds like 2 feet. Yeah. Yeah. One very, very long thing. If you look at a picture of it all, I'm gonna see if I can find one for you. Hold on. Let me see. See if I can find a picture in my old thingies. I don't think. Ah! Okay. See if I can save this. Okay. Let me put it here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna try and show you the thing. This is what I had to study. This one? Yeah, okay. Here you go. So, say it's in your knee. That nerve goes all the way up. See, remember the 2 branches I was talking about? Yeah, it goes up. It goes up in the brain. And not the brain, actually. It's in the spinal cord. It goes to the spinal cord. And then it comes back down. Yeah. So, I wouldn't say it's like one branch. It's like multiple branches. Yeah, I had to memorize all of that back when I was in anatomy class. And I hated it so much. There's also something called the brachial plexus, which is even worse. I hated studying that thing. I want to see if I can find it for you. Aha. Ooh. Bad memories, man. Bad memories. Here. Bad memories. I had to remember which nerve came out of what part of the spine, at which level, and then what it split off into, which trunks were superior, anterior, or posterior, and then the different names of it, like C1, C2, but also the fancy words for it, like the radial nerve, the median nerve, the auxiliary nerve, and the subclavicus muscle, the dorsal supra something nerve. Yeah, I had to remember all of that. I refuse to do this ever again. There's like a very specific, very specific way that this goes. I hated learning it. I saw it in person too, like on an actual cadaver. It was very interesting. But yeah. So that's your neck. Like the branches from your neck. Like say, okay, if you... Let me feel for this. It's like see... 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, so if you touch the back of your neck, you can, like say the lobe of your ear. Just move your fingers from the bottom of your ear and go towards your spine. That is where these things are happening. The C5, 6, 7, that whole fancy mess of nerves, that's where that is. And it extends all the way down to like, you know, your arms and your... Yeah, I don't like studying that. Yeah. High school or college anatomy? I learned this in my first year of university. Yeah, first year of uni. So this is all the stuff I learned when I was 18 years old. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Booze! Amount of apples to give me is so you'll have to buy your own apple. I will buy my own apple. Okay, that's one thing. This is another survival reflex. It's basically the same shit, honestly. But fire. No Noceception. That's temperature, by the way. The sensing of temperature. Yeah. So, you feel something hot, you're like, ooh, shit. Your bicep reacts very, very quickly. It's almost instantaneous. It's because of your reflexes. Okay? I don't think I need to go into this anymore. Your reflexes are very much involuntary reactions to things. Okay? Okay. Ah. That's all only in the neck? Why do you think that when people injure their neck, they get paralyzed from the neck down? Very important. It's a very important area. And if you watch a lot of medical shows, for example, you see someone get into an accident. One of the first things paramedics do is check the neck, the spine, the neck area, the cervical spine. And if there's an injury to it, they put the collar on, because just one slight millimeter of change could get you paralyzed. Okay? It's a very, very scary part of the body to be wary of, but yeah. Is it possible to reconnect or bridge several nerves nowadays? Like, you can reattach feet, for example, but paralyzed people are a thing, so what's the difference? So, reattaching stuff is very different from getting paralyzed. Paralyzation is like when you damage a nerve. Like, you can actually burn nerves, but they heal. They can heal. But like reattaching fingies, your nerves can actually grow and connect with each other that way. It's like stitches would. I don't think people stitch it together, to be honest. I'm actually not quite sure about that. I've never done surgery or like studied that kind of thing, but I know about paralysis. And paralysis can actually just be like, say you pinch a nerve, and that's why you get numbness. When you get a pinched nerve, you get numbness because the electricity cannot be carried down to the endpoint, and it's just like you can barely feel it. It's being like stopped from you sensing things, like stopping you from feeling things. Obviously, there's many different types of nerves and receptors, but when you have a pinched nerve, like, kind of lose feeling, right? Well, paralysis is like something gets completely cut off, or the nerves are just dead, and they cannot be sparked back to life. They stop conducting electricity. There's also a lot of like brain things involved, like maybe a part of your brain just has decided, okay, shut down that part of brain. And obviously there's a lot of disabilities around it. There's paraplegia, things like that. Is very hard to like account for every single thing. Some people have like one side of the body that's completely paralyzed. Some people only have like a part of their body that's completely paralyzed. Some people only have like you know, their legs are paralyzed, but they can still move their arms. Typically, that kind of paralysis happens because the pelvic bone has been very badly injured. Like your like a bone could have, like, say you fractured it, and a bone like cut through. 'Tis bad. You lose feeling there, and you're paralyzed from there. Yeah, that's one reason why people get paralyzed. Typically, it's from injury. Not many people are born with paralysis, I would say. Like, that's very common, but it is a thing. Okay. Game and stuff. Yeah, I wanted to talk more about this than actually write about this. So what I did write were the differences between very specific things. Can they turn into every kind of cell, or does it not work if they inject it? But I don't really know too much about stem cells, to be fully honest. I didn't really study them. Most of my time in uni was focused more on how to help someone after the fact that they've been injured. Like, this might give you somewhat of an idea of what I actually majored in or specialized in uni. But say, like someone had surgery, my field would be there to help them after that. Not so much for it, you know? Like, maybe we'd be there to like prepare them for it, but we were not actually there for the procedure itself. Or like, I didn't look too much into cells. I looked more to like practically working with people. That was what my specialist was in. Where was I? Oh yeah, the gaming shit. I feel like this is more fun to talk about. But yeah, reaction time and reflexes are very different. I have very good reaction times to things. And the main difference between the two is that reflexes are involuntary. Reaction time is voluntary. And it's because I have done something so much to the point that I can do it in a way that appears instant. It looks like it's a reflex, but it isn't. I'm doing it consciously. I am doing it voluntarily. My brain is telling my fingers to move a certain way because I want it to. Not because I'm doing it like, oh shit, why did my body do that? It ain't like that. But if we're gonna be specific, reaction time is the time between you get exposed to something and a movement response to that exposure or stimuli. Okay? Okay, so for example, if you're playing an FPS game, you see an enemy, your brain has to recognize, okay, that's an enemy, it's not a friend. And then your brain goes like, click the mouse to shoot. And then your fingy does the shooting. Not everyone has the same reaction time. You can tell. Newbie gamers at FPS, ooh, yay. But, you know, like, it's not that difficult to differentiate once you actually understand it. If I should jump scare that goes yes. Reflexes are survival instincts. They are in your system from like the moment you are born. But reaction time is something that you can practice, something you can learn, something that you can develop over time. Okay? So, an example of a reflex. You can actually see this in babies. I think it's very cute. Babies, if you tickle the bottom of their feet, you know how for us, if someone touches our feet, our instinct is to curl our toes inwards, right? So that it gets away from something. Like you curl it so that it moves away, farther away from that stimulus. Like with Lego pieces. Say you step on a Lego piece, your instinct is to curl your toes so that your arch, like your foot arch, rises away from that Lego piece. Right? For babies, if they feel something at their feet, their instinct is to spread their toes. It's not to curl them away, it's to spread the toes. And the reason is, back in the very, very old times, when we were still living off of rocks and twigs and building fires in caves, our instinct was to spread our toes so that whatever was on the ground would go between the toes and not on our feet. Yeah, so that's why we spread them as babies. The toes, okay? Oh, Mom Becca! Hi! Oh my god, you did miss it. Oh no. Oh no. Babies can also instinctively swim, right? Or is that an urban legend? I would say it depends on the baby. But typically, when you put a baby in water, they be like, ooh, we're back in the womb with the water. But the thing is, in the womb, they did not swim. They just felt comfortable in it. You know, they lived in it for 9 months. So, you know, it's something that they're used to. They're familiar with being surrounded by a liquid. But, it doesn't mean that they know how to swim. It doesn't mean they know how to swim. They're just comfortable in the water. You watch again later? Okay. There's a lot of repetition because I really wanted to drill some things into people's brains. So there's not as much content as there was than in the cardiology stream, but I don't know. I feel like this is more, you know, relatable. Means they can hold their breath. Yeah. Kind of like that feet locking reflex that birds have. Yes. You can drill into my brain anytime. Yeah. Chatty, please. Hand me a screwdriver. Mori-san, konnichiwa. Thank you. I try. Okay, but that's reaction time and reflexes. Please know the difference now. Please don't tell me, oh, you have good reflexes, Mia. I don't. Okay, I'm slow as fuck with my reflexes. I just have good reaction time. Okay, now this is the explicit versus implicit is actually very difficult to understand, I think. for some people, but it can mean a lot. So, explicit tasks are things that you mean to do in relation to time. So, this is why I wanted to talk about reaction time first. So say, I'm in the rhythm game, and I know the notes are gonna fall down at a certain speed. I'm ready for that speed. I'm ready for that note to fall down. I see it. I go like, okay, tap down, right? Like I'm prepared for it. And then the other notes fall. It's like, okay, the last note it fell like this. I know how it's gonna fall now. You know, I know exactly how it's gonna go. It's very like practiced, I guess, or like something I'm very aware of, and I can. The reason why it says direct measurements is because I know exactly the space of when something's gonna happen. So I can play rhythm games without music just fine. Is because I know the spacing and potentially what that spacing means. Is it like a half note? Is it like a whole note? And do I have to hold it? Do I not have to hold it? Do I have to flick it? Do I not have to flick it? It's just something that I can very easily tell. Some notes are closer to each other than others, right? And based off what I know exactly like, okay, this has to be done in a certain way. You know, that's an explicit timing movement. Implicit, gosh, I hate having to explain this. This is harder to understand. So, I think a good example is if a car is coming at you. You see the car, it's coming at you. Time is sensitive in that moment. Do you move or do you not? How much space do you have to move? That is what an implicit timing task is you don't necessarily expect it coming, but you can see something happen. There's a lot of things you have to understand and integrate in your brain, and based off of that in that particular instant, what do you do? How much space do you have to move? What do you duck? Do you run? Do you roll? What do you do? That's the implicit task. Yeah. Someone throws a ball at you, do you catch it? Yeah, it's like that. You don't like you perceive the ball coming. You can tell the distance and how long it may get to you. Where do you put your hand in that instance to catch it? Kind of like that. So many sports depend on it? Yeah, so many. But with the explicit, it's like, I know something's coming. I know the speed it's gonna come at. I know the distance away it is. I know what to do. You know, you kind of... This also can be, like, it can look really quick, kind of like the rhythm game thing, with a bunch of notes coming down. It's like, I notice the pattern. I know this pattern. I can perform it in the time frame that I have to perform it. Like when the notes comes down, I know exactly when to hit. That's explicit. It's very, very easy for me to do. But if you tell me to switch games back to like Bang Dream or Bandri, for example, God, I would need some time to remember that. Because in that instance, like, I don't know. So when a lot of newbie gamers start doing anything, it's very implicit timing. And like you can see it coming, but you don't really know when to tap. Like you feel like you don't know when to tap the thing. Like, yeah, you can hear the music, but you haven't integrated that as a variable into the game yet. You just see the note, you go like, okay, tap now, right? Like we don't really know just yet exactly what to do. That's that. A lot of newbie gamers have this. This was me in Valorant. Like, I know I have to shoot things, but I don't know how far this gun is gonna shoot. I don't know what I have to do, like hearing things. Like, I'm hearing things, but I don't know what they mean. I can kind of guess, but I'm not exactly sure. You know, it's very like, oh god, I just have really bad implicit timing task abilities. My explicit is very good. Explicit is what people call muscle memory. Sure. I would. Yeah, look, I think it's part of it. I wouldn't call it muscle memory, but it's part of it. That's part of it. Now, hand-eye coordination. This word is brought up a lot in rhythm games and in FPS games, or anything that requires your eyes to perceive a thing, your brain to understand the thing, and your hands to move according to the thing. So, I like to split it up into two: precision and accuracy. Everyone gets this wrong. Everyone thinks accuracy and precision are basically the same thing. It is not. It is not the same thing. Honestly, in English, when you just say the words, be like, oh yeah, that's precise. You know, being like, when you measure something, accurate and precise measurements, right? You just think, oh yeah, on the ruler, it's exactly that. Right, correct. That's it. Some people just think of it like that. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Precision is making the thing that you're aiming at go at the same spot each time. Do you aim at something? It doesn't have to be on a target or anything. Just like, do you aim at something? Can you hit it every single time? So say, how do I put this? Say you are typing the same number on your keyboard. Say like you're texting somebody and you like type the 3 dots. Can you do that consistently? Are you precise with that? Can you do that? Can you type the same thing? Some people cannot actually. Sometimes their finger moves around on their phones and they end up pressing like a backspace. It happens. But for accuracy, is how something closes to a base value. So you have a target that you have to aim at. And you can be accurate without being precise, you know? Like, your target could be huge. And you can hit the target every single time, but they're not in the same spot every single time. Like, you can hit the top of the target, the bottom of the target, the left, the right. That's just accuracy. You're hitting it in the right spot. But not the exactly same. Like, it's not together in relation to each other. Like, your target could be far off, but you could be precise. So, yeah, they're not the same thing. I'm surprised people think it's the same thing. Like, okay, let me draw this out. Maybe some of you are visual learners. Say you have a target. You're an archer, and this is your target. Okay? Accuracy, you can hit here, here, and here. And you'd be accurate. Right? Like, you could hit the top, the sides of it. Still aimed at the target. Right? That's accurate, but that's not precise. Precision could be like, you aim here, here, and here. That's precise. Because it's all in the same spot, but you're not accurate. To be precise and accurate, you gotta aim here. Every single time. Every single time. Does that make more sense? You could be precise if you aim like this. You can be precise if you aim like this. Accuracy though, you aim here. That's how most people would explain it in real life situations. So that's why in FPS, I can have precision and just aim at the wrong spot every single time. Yeah. See how it works now? Yeah. They are linked for sure. For sure. They're not the same. Please don't think they're the same. Please don't think they're the same. Good explanation, thank you. But I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Now you know. Now you know. So basically what happens when my eyes see something, sensory information gets into my brain. Like if I'm playing a rhythm game, my IC note go through sensory neuron. Sensory neuron, this thing, takes it to brain. And then brain goes like, ooh. And then it sends it through interneurons to a motor neuron. This is a motor neuron, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that. This is a motor neuron. Motor neuron takes information through dendrites down here to the axon hillock to start action potentials. Action potentials get sent down these nodes through myelin sheaths all the way to my muscles and axon terminals. And then muscle goes like, ooh, okay, need to contract, and it will, and I tap. Ta-da! Ta-da! Now you know! Now you know the trick to playing rhythm games. Is practice. every day, all day. Yeah. Okay. You're smarter now. Body sensitive to tickling, is it reflex or not? I think it depends on your receptors. Some people have receptors that are like more sensitive to touch than others. And some people will be like, yes, tickling though. I don't think it's a reflex. Some people don't even react to it. But yeah. Some people do, some people don't. I think it's part reflex, part not reflex. Because some people can overreact. Are some senses faster than others? Like your eyes and ears are super close to your brain, and touch and your foot, for example, has to travel much farther. Yes. Some senses are faster than others. So, smelling things is actually pretty slow. Scent doesn't really hit you because it has to go up your nose and stuff, right? But scent doesn't really hit you because you don't have a lot of receptors. It's also very dependent on the amount of receptors you have. So in your tongue, people have different types of receptors in their tongue. So I think it was like on the sides, those are your sweet receptors or spicy receptors. I know there's a trick. If you eat spicy food and you can't handle it, you send it to the back because you have spicy receptors on the tip of your tongue. So if you have spicy food, you don't like them, you have less receptors there. Yeah. Is it spicy in the front? No, I'm pretty sure it's in the back. Yeah, spicy. Wait, oh, you mean like the... Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you eat spicy food, don't let it touch the front. I was on the realize, but I have based on how the surgery abuse babies every... You're welcome. Neat. But like... The whole feet thing... or just how some senses are faster than others... Definitely have faster sensors in, like... your face. You have a lot of sensors there. It's very sensitive. Like your eyes, information travels really fast. So that's one thing. Your taste receptors also pretty fast. You can taste when something's bad in like an instant. Touch receptors pretty fast. Heat and cold receptors are very slow. So they take a while. It's like you can actually hold your hand over a flame for like half a second and you'll be like, oh damn, it's hot. You know, it takes a while. But I think like actual touch receptors, like pressure, that's also fairly slow. There's this interesting thing actually, if you can get someone to do this to you. If you get 2 pens, you stick your arm out. You start one pen at, say, the crook of your elbow. Put another pen at your wrist. And you start poking, like, at the same time, very slowly. And you bring the 2 pens closer to each other on your arm. Eventually, it's gonna feel like 1 pen is poking you instead of 2. And that's because your neurons, your receptors, they're so close to each other that they fire. Like, they're just firing together at that point. They're so close to each other, it feels like 1. So, yeah. There's like another principle thing about it. Like, this is 1 receptor, and this is another. It like transfers over next to it to a certain extent. Yeah. Because your, what do you call it? Your touch receptors are firing, and the thing around it is like, it reacts to it. It goes like, ooh, I sense this too. But then it eventually decays out. If your vision is poor but you still have some vision, does it slow your reaction time, or do most people adapt to their poor vision and respond accordingly? I would say that it would... Like, if you wear glasses, then it'll take some time to get back into it because depth perception and your field of view has changed. But if, say, you do have poor vision, you don't have the ability to wear glasses. Say, like, you can't wear glasses or you can't wear contacts, and you just have to live with poor vision. then eventually your reaction time does slow down. Because this is more of a psychological thing. You're left with uncertainty. Like, you don't see things as clearly. You don't know exactly where to put your hands, where your mouse is going, or like if something is like, if your reflex will slow too. If something is falling off a table, you're not gonna be able to see exactly where it's gonna land. So you hesitate, or you might miss. You know, like it depends on the situation exactly, but it's definitely like a psychological adaptation that you have to make. Eventually, you can get used to it with enough time. But if you're saying like straight away, like oh yeah, your eyes, it's like bad for some reason, it's gonna take a while. What happens when your finger or eyes start twitching? Is it because they're being sent excess signals? Yeah, I think that is what it is. It's like a mini cramp, for example, a mini cramp. Yeah. Why does some near fire with the right input? If you fall in VR, for example, you get blind vision even when it's only your eyes sensing it, but not your ears. Is it just expectation? There are a ton of things that go into your perception of falling. So one of them is proprioceptors. It's hard to say this word. Proprioceptors. I think that's how you spell it. They are receptors in your muscles that tell you where your body is in space. So if I stick my arm out, I know it's like on my left side, for example. Or like say you wave at someone. You know your arm is in front of you. Like say I put my arm up like this. I know it's in front of me, it's in front of my face, and it's waving, right? Like those are proprioceptors. And a lot of VR actually takes into account proprioception to do tracking and stuff. But the falling sensation is actually your eyes and your ears, what do you call it? The balance thingies in your ears telling you your body is falling in a certain direction. So what do you call it? This is really complicated. There's this thing in your ear that looks like this. It looks like a little this is so hard to explain. But basically, in these little thingies, it tells you XYZ. And there's fluid inside of it. There's fluid inside this thing. So there's one that's like Y, there's one that's X, and then there's one that's like Z. So like up, down, left, right, and like forward, back. It kind of tells you that. And when the fluid in those little tubes in your ears, it feels that it's moving in a certain way. Little villi like this, they tilt. And that tilt, depending on the sway of the fluid, it tells your body that it's falling or if it's not. So in VR, that visual input, it tells you you're falling. Eventually, your ear, like the little thingies, you just subconsciously end up moving your head in that way. So the fluid in this thing in your ear will also start to move. And eventually you'll be like, oh shit, I'm actually falling. Yeah. Let's see. The cochlear? Yes, the cochlear. It's like a saccule and all that other fancy stuff. Why did your body respond to unusual moves by throwing up? You mean like nausea? Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're asking? We have a gyroscope in us? Yes, you do. It's inside your ear. The cochlea and the fluid around it. Yes, the semicircular canals. That's what they're called. I didn't want to have to use that word, but yes. Because I have an ear infection, might be off balance. Yes. Oh, I'm getting raided. Hello, Oka. Oh, it's Oka. Hello. Wait, I'm gonna change this to a fancy screen. What looks. This is probably the fanciest one. Hello, hello, Raiders. Hi. Hello, Raiders. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hi. Hello. Oh, wait. Hold on, let me drink water. Mide, mide, mie da yo. I am Mieko Mina. I am an immortal human. Blah, 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 blah. With a big hammer and angel in training. And, we're doing a educational stream today about the nervous system. I'm using my degree. Yeah. So we've been talking about the peripheral and central nervous system. How when you send something, it goes to your spinal cord and back to your motor neurons. We talked about the different types of neurons that exist in the body. Specifically the motor neuron, because that's very important for gamers. And then why some might be faster than others, why some signals travel faster than others. And muscle memory isn't a thing, it's your brain that remembers. Guys, if there's anything you're gonna get from today, Raiders, you need to know this too. Muscle memory doesn't exist. Muscle memory is not a thing. Your muscles don't remember shit. It's your brain that remembers what, and it tells your muscles what to do. Yeah. Muscle memory ain't a thing. Muscles are dumb, and all they do is contract and stretch. Yeah. Your brain doesn't remember, your brain remembers what your muscles don't. No, wait, yeah, I'm serious. Your muscles don't have memory. Your muscles don't remember anything. Your brain tells your muscles what to do. And that's how you get precise at stuff. I thought I had really good muscle memory. You have really good memory. Yeah, yeah. You can read all of this. There's a whole lesson file, by the way. It leads you to a Google Drive full of all these lessons I do. The other one that I had is cardiology. So if you're interested in the heart, then you can go check that out if you want. But yeah, this is muscle memory. I talked about reflexes and gaming. Yeah. Also, rhythm gamers and FPS players, y'all don't have fast reflexes. No. We have fast reaction time. Because reflexes are involuntary movements. And when you play FPS games and rhythm games, those are all voluntary movements. Please note the difference. Please. If there's anything I need you to take from today, it's muscle memory doesn't exist in the muscles. And the difference between reflexes and reaction time. Please at least understand those two things from today. Are the neurons there chefed or unchefed? Probably unchefed? I'm actually not quite sure. I think they're unchefed, to be honest. Yeah. You know what? I can Google that. It'd be fun if involuntary reflex for games, right? Smart beans, spouts, and drain. Yes. You know what though? You know when you listen to music and you listen to the beat of something, you can just close your eyes and hear it. You can feel it, right? But you have this tendency to bop your head to a beat. Oh. Starlight! Thank you for the gifted! Thank you! Reflex me going holy crap and fudging. Yes! And you know why people flinch from horror games? Is because... There's actually a very good reason for this. Is because we see a threat. We see a damn threat. And we're trying to run away from it, okay? That's why. Thank you for the gift. Also, everybody who joined today from the memberships, we have a new Discord. I made a new Discord today. It's brand new. It only opened yesterday. So go check it out, okay? And have fun. Be nice. Alright. Okay, cool. Okay. That was a lot of talking. Been 2.5 hours. Holy shit. The kind of jump scare? Yes! Yes! I've heard people who isn't their across taste have shapes, sounds of colors, sounds of textures. It's association by feeling. There's actually a word for it. I don't remember what it is. But like, for example, sounds of colors. A lot of people use this in film studies. So an explosion will be red. No, they typically make explosions red. Like when you hear the boom, you think red. Or when you hear an ocean, you think blue. Right? Synthesia. Yes, that's the word. Thank you. That's what I was thinking. Or like when you smell something, you relate it to what you've tasted. For example, like say you smell pasta. You taste the pasta. Just think of sushi, you'd be like, oh yes, that nice raw salmon. Or like, you smell the scent of leather. You can smell leather, like you've touched a handbag of leather. You know what it smells like. So you associate it like that. I smell bacon, I get hungry. I smell bacon, I hear the crunch. But see, it's used a lot in just general day-to-day stuff. It's cool, yeah. Honestly, most people can do it just subconsciously, but if you think about it, really, it's not that difficult to point out. And a lot of people who are blind, for example, like they no longer can see, typically do have synesthesia. Some people who were born with like color blindness, for example, they don't, they may not really know but what the color yellow is like, but they can associate it with like a feeling of warmth, like the sun, or something very happy, like or something very bright, like stars. They can associate it with that, or with like, let me see, like another example. I guess the brain makes up for it that way. Yeah, and some people who lost their vision, like maybe someone went blind, they may not remember colors. They may stop associating colors with like colors. They could be like, oh yeah, I remember pink as like fluffy things. Instead, especially if it's been a really long time since they've seen color, it makes sense. Some people dream in color though. Like even if they don't have color vision, some people can dream in color. So being able to know what it feels like to like something just by looking at it, yes, kind of similar, yes. I feel like it's kind of like that. Very hard to explain a feeling. If we're talking like very from like a biological perspective, then the interneurons are probably making new connections to things that already previously existed. Like, so say people stop seeing, they no longer use their eyes to see. That those nerves eventually die out, or they create new connections with other things that already exist. So say like you're so used to seeing, I don't know, like your eyeballs are so used to seeing things like light. Eventually it gets those neurons might interact with something else, and you associate light with something else other than vision, like warmth. Instead, like as your main go-to. Like how stereotypes are formed in the brain. You look at something so much, you'd be like, oh yes, oh yeah. It's association, all the connections and stuff. You see that? Yeah. What time is it now? 11:27. Holy shit. That's good. Doesn't know what it looks like, but they can understand the vibe. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it's like to be colorblind. I do have color vision, and I'm able to see, I'm able to feel, I'm able to smell and talk. And hear. Like, I don't know what it's like, so I can't speak from experience like some people can, but I have studied a little bit of it. I can't speak for everybody like what it's like. Everybody experiences it differently. Like, I actually did have a friend who is colorblind. I met her in uni actually, and she told me that every time she saw pancakes, like she would think, instead of like, she would look at it and try and envision the color yellow, but all she felt was like, oh, it's a warm thing. Like she looked at it and was like, I know that's not cold food, I know it's warm, like it's hot. You know, that kind of thing. Light red, light green look the same, but bright green and bright red are distinct. Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool, actually. I wonder what that feels like. Like, I can't... Like, when I think about my world in color, seeing all the colors, I can't imagine it being in a certain view. Like, I don't know what it feels like. There's some interesting lots of pixel color lines. I wonder how these work then. Filtering of light. And, what do you call it? What's the word? It depends on the color blindness you have, too. There's many different types. It's obviously not just you either do have it or you don't. Like, everything's black and white or everything is in a specific color. It's, you know, it's very range of things and very different types. But some people with a very distinct type of color blindness do have glasses, like that you can fix it with. It's just how color and light is filtered out. Mia's glasses apply to me. Yes, it does. Isn't it cute? I thought. Did you not know? Did not know. I'll show you the light. There should be some color hues or tones. Yeah, like usually people who are colorblind can distinct shades. It's also helps depth perception. Like people can still tell how far something is from another, but like the tones and colors and contrast between things is a little different. I have a lot of color deficiency. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ooh. So, does the membership color on YouTube look weird to you? They're like, I know you said light red and light green, but what about like dark red and dark green? Does it look weird? What's it look like? I hope that's not offensive to ask. I'm just genuinely curious. That's like guessing the shade of color when you watch a black and white movie. Yeah. I would like to associate it that way. I think that's how it would be. Yeah. Wait, this one? サーバーだけ変わったじゃん。ここじゃないよ。Brighter dark colors are probably fine. I think it's why I started watching anime. Oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah, anime has very distinctive colors. Like the way they shade stuff, it's very solid. And I like that, to be honest. I like very stark contrasts and like strong colors. I feel like a lot of in-person things don't really have that. I would have a hard time seeing a member of my color. They're both the same shade, but two similar colors. Oh, color. Oh! Huh, that's an interesting thing. I didn't realize that would be a thing. At least they can see the wrench. Yeah, wrench exists. I like wrench. Okay, what time? I gotta keep checking time. I don't wanna go too long. Okay. I think we done. If you wanna go through everything over again very quickly, I don't think I need to tell you what the nervous system is. I think it's clear enough. PNS and CNS. Sensory receptors for visceral, somatic, and special stuff happen in the peripheral nervous system, such as your arms and your legs, and even your heart. And that information travels through an axon, a sensory neuron, afferently, to a cell body, and then into the dorsal root of the dorsal root of the posterior side of the spinal cord, and into sometimes it can go to the brain, sometimes it doesn't need to go to the brain, but then it goes there into the spinal cord to an interneuron, which connects sensory information from a sensory neuron to a motor neuron, and it takes, like, the interneurons will turn a sensory signal into a motor one, so that it goes through the motor neuron and into an effector, which could be muscles or glands or organs. Yes, and that's called an efferent pathway. Okay, I think that's simple enough. And then two types of cells in the nervous system, neuroglia, and neurons. Neuroglia go around the neurons. Neurons are the only things that will conduct electricity in the nervous system, and that includes your dendrites and the axon, and like the cell body actually has electricity too, but we don't count that. Neuroglia include oligodendrocytes, Schwann cells, and astrocytes, and even more. I just don't have to go into it. Oligodendrocytes are the Schwann cells of the CNS. Schwann cells are part of the PNS, and they are insulators. Yeah, insulators. They make up something called the myelin sheath, which insulates an axon so it doesn't lose conductivity. Astrocytes are neuroglia that connect neurons to other systems such as blood vessels. Yeah. Okay. Three types that we'll focus on today, which was the sensory neuron, interneuron, and effector neuron. And the four main parts that each of them will have is a reception area, integration area, conduction, and transmission area. So, let's see if I can do this real quick. Receptions are here, 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 here. Integration happens here, here, and let's see, here. Conduction happens here, 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 here. And transmission happens here. Actually, yeah, it depends on which side I would say. Here. Yeah. Okay. Axon anatomy. Typically, this is a typical vertebrae motor neuron, so not the sensory one, by the way. Hope that's clear enough. And typical vertebrae motor neurons have a nucleus and a cell body, which means there's endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria and a nucleus all up in here in cytoplasm. Okay? And this is just a very long extension of the same cell. I know it doesn't look like one cell, but I promise you, this orange bit is all one cell. Okay? Axon hillock is where action potentials are generated. The nodes of Ranvier are the space between the myelin sheath, where action potentials are created so that it propagates down the axon without losing its signal. And that way these myelin sheaths, they prevent the electricity from leaving or the signal from leaving the axon. And then it goes down to the end in a place called the axon terminal, where a neurotransmitter, typically acetylcholine, if we're talking about muscles, from a neuron to a muscle, acetylcholine will go through a synapse, and the synapse is the space between a what's it called? A dendrite, an axon, yeah, and a muscle. And it'll go to the muscle. The acetylcholine will go to that muscle. Yeah. Okay. Next, conduction velocities. Very quickly. The fatter it is, the more electricity it can go through. Simple as that. Myelination. I think we talked about that enough. I don't think I need to go through that, but myelin basically lets electricity go through and not lose its electricity signal as it goes down the axon, which is why your legs will have a lot of that. Bye bye, Chowder. Hey, have a good night. Thank you for coming. Okay, real life application. Oh yeah, muscle memory. Muscle memory ain't a thing. Your muscle memories don't remember shit. Muscle memories don't have muscle memory does not exist in the muscle. If anything, your brain is the thing that remembers. Okay? Yes. And you can develop muscle memory through repetitive action and repetitive firing of neurons so that it creates a pathway, and if you do it often enough, it solidifies the pathway. That way, the connection between your peripheral nervous system and your central nervous system are efficient, and you can react to something a lot faster because your brain it knows what it needs to do. Yeah. Okay. Reflexes. It's involuntary. And I think that's it. This is all just discussion stuff at the end, so yeah. Hey, we're done. Feel smart. Myelination is basically a natural repeater system. Then I wouldn't say that actually. Myelination is actually just an insulator. It basically blocks ion channels from allowing sodium to leave the cell or leave the axon. So yeah, obviously it's not foolproof. So some of the electricity will degrade, which is why you saw like it narrowing a bit. But once it hit a node of Ranvier, a lot of sodium will start to like do a lot of the action potential thing, which we talked about last time if you remember the graph. And it'll conduct another action potential to send along across the myelin sheath. Yeah. Goes around a wire, prevents anything from escaping. Yes. Yes. Obviously, like I said, it's not foolproof, so it will decay slightly, but definitely not as much as if it would, the axon didn't have the chef, you know? Okay. Have you wanted to be a teacher because you're very good? No, I actually haven't. I never wanted to be a teacher. Growing up, I didn't want to become a teacher. I never wanted to. I thought it would be very difficult for someone like me to be a teacher because I'm very small. Not a lot of people take me seriously. And I was always worried that kids would bully me, especially if I was like a high school teacher. God, I'd get mistaken as a high school kid instead of a high school teacher. So I actually never wanted to become a teacher. You doing a special ed class neurology? Yes. Somehow, yes. You be a college? No. I don't think I could. VTuber teaching is the best word. Yeah. Hold on, let me. Let's go back here. Does this work? What if I was taller? Maybe not. I'm just a very baby-faced person. Honestly, I'm just glad that you guys learned something. That's all I could ask for. Hey. Okay. Wait, I'm playing. Alright. Welcome! Thank you for the raid! Oh god, we just ended all the fancy educational stuff. Thank you for coming! I was about to end stream. I'm sorry. I was about to end stream. But thank you for the raid! Thank you, numbers, for coming. Thank you. Wait, I gotta do the intro. Mite, Mie da yo. I am Mieko Mina. You can call me Mie. And my Tahumen. Angel and Chennai. And big brain. That's 2.5 hours? Yeah. I'm surprised it was that fast, to be honest. I didn't think it would be, but it was, and I'm happy that it was. Yeah. Yeah. That is such a cute thing. Hot dog or cat, right? That's so cute. Why don't we have one of those? Why don't we have one of those? Thank you for stream. Of course. Thank you for coming. Wait, let me take the glasses off. They're so big now. I made them big. Hey. Say goodbye to the glasses. I feel so naked without glasses, guys. Yo, I feel naked. The space between my eyes looks so big. I got used to seeing it with the glasses that this feels weird. I look nice with glasses. Thank you. I think I look good with glasses too. I mean, IRL I wear glasses all the time because I'm very blind. But I also like to wear my contacts. So, yeah. And I got the. You're welcome. The glasses, but you look good with glasses. Thank you. Immortal human raid. How about this? Nice. You know what? Next model. I want some glasses. Give me a new model. I'ma get glasses. I don't know if I would want one like, you know, that's big, but I think I look good in round glasses. I'm not good in I'm not good in square glasses. 3D glasses? Nah, I don't want to have glasses in 3D. I don't think it would work. I think 2D would be nicer. For me, anyway. Yeah! Yeah, you have the lesson file. It includes the previous lesson too, because people still wanted it. So you can get the whatchamacallit? You can get the cardiology file, and you can get today's nervous system file or neurology file, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. The previous lesson is also good. Thank you. You know what I'm thinking for the next lesson? I'm thinking either sleep or sleep or sex ed, particularly the menstruation cycle, because people don't understand why cramps are a thing. They don't understand why hormones make women slightly more sensitive during that week, and what actually happens in the month. Because people only think, oh yeah, it's just a week. No. It affects us for a whole fucking month. Okay? Which is why I kind of want to talk about it. Yeah. It's just the plan. I don't know when I'll do it, but yeah. I don't know the agony or cancer notes. Yes. I think sleep first, to be honest. I think sleep would be funny to do. Yeah. Oh.
Here's my tuition fee. 3.
Oh my god, fuck. Thank you. You need more about sleep? Okay, I'll do sleep next then. You like my eyes? Thank you. Thank you. I'll definitely do more about eyes then. If you guys want, I'll do eyes. Eyes. I'll do sleep. Yeah, I'll do sleep. I'll make sure to put that in my notes to do sleep next, okay? Yeah. I'll do sleep next. I can finally delete all my notes. But thank you, Funk. Okay, I'm gonna dip now. I don't think I'm gonna raid anyone tonight because I'm really tired. I've had a long day of studying, and I think my brain just needs to rest and not do shit. So I'm gonna just end the stream today. Yeah. It's okay, we'll raid someone next time. Oh, Rez, thank you for the super! Make sure to tell the Bruno of why yawns are contagious for sleep. You know what? Yawns? People think yawns are a reflex, and are not a reflex, but they actually are. Yawns, you yawn because your brain requires oxygen to keep functioning, but you don't have enough and you're tired. So when you're tired, you lack oxygen, and your brain's like, you need it. So yawns are a reflex so that you intake a huge gulp of air and give your brain some oxygen. That's why you stay awake. Yawns will keep you awake. Fun fact. Okay, anyway, bye. I'm gonna go now. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate you. Thank you for liking my educational streams. I worry that you guys don't, honestly, but apparently you do, so... Okay, I go now. Bye bye. Thank you for coming. Bye bye. じゃあ来てくれてありがとう。もう見えないね。バイバイ。